Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for this stability flow today. So we're going to be working into some longer holds than usual, rather than a flowing sort of motion that I do like to teach quite a lot. We are going to be holding things for maximum about a minute. So be mindful if anything feels too much, you can always take a break. Don't over push yourself. Work with your body and what your body feels it can do today. You can always come back and practice this video again. The props we're going to want for the session is just you and your mat for most of the class, and then right at the end we're going to want to have either a bolster or a large cushion and a rolled up towel or blanket, something that's going to be the entire length of your spine. So it doesn't have to be quite as long as this one, but something that we can use from the tailbone to the back of the skull. And we can pop these off to the side. We don't need them till right at the end of our session. And join me on the mat in a lovely child pose position. So as you make your way into a child pose, if it doesn't feel comfortable for your knees in this position, you can always come onto your forearms, tuck the chin and round your spine a little bit. That's plenty. Or if it feels too much pressure in your lower back or your ankles, just come into this variation of child pose. We won't be here too long. And just allow your body to settle for the first few moments into your practice, encouraging your body to ground into the earth, to settle. And we're welcoming in stability. It feels very stable to have the ground holding and supporting us in quite a balanced position for our bodies. Not much effort is required to be here from our physical form, our muscles, our joints. And as we work through stability today, we'll be working with instability. We often think that mobility is the opposite of stability, whereas actually stability and mobility work together. Instability is really the opposite of stability. And we can also be unstable and mobile, but also stable and mobile. So creating an awareness of our hold, so when we're not moving, and the stability that we might be bringing in, but also when we're moving and how we can create stability through movement. And the first place I want you to find that stability is in your breathing. We allow the breath to be that constant movement throughout our entire practice today. And our breath also is going to change, move, shift, depending on what our body is doing. So it has a mobilization, it moves, it adjusts, it adapts, but it's always there. So we can come back to this stable rhythm of our breath when we need to, throughout our entire practice. Now, if your mind and your emotions start to go on a little journey today, it doesn't mean you're unstable emotionally or mentally. Remember that we have to explore different feelings, different sensations, different thoughts. Focus is not the only way to be stable. I want you to think that the stability we're creating mentally and emotionally is about awareness. If we become aware of our mobile or moving emotions, then that is finding stability, rather than thinking that we're having maybe negative thoughts and then we must be unstable. Not at all. All emotions are welcome in our practice, whether it's frustration, peacefulness, anger, whatever we experience, let them come up for us. So, let's come onto our hands and our knees, into our tabletop pose. And I want you to find a tabletop position that encourages your spine to be nice and neutral. So this means we're creating that plane from the sacrum, the lower back, the scapula, the shoulder blades, and the back of the head, the skull. So we're not over dipping and overarching into the spine, and we're not rounding the back here. We're just creating a nice natural rhythm for your spine to be in. And we might notice straight away that we're pressing down into the hands. A little bit of effort is involved here to keep us in this pose. We do not have to suck the belly in, so we can actually allow the belly to move dynamically with our breathing. But we'll notice that the muscles might have had to switch on in order to keep us in this position. Now I want you to start to move around, releasing a bit of the wrist joints, because this is an area of our body that we tend to have a lot of mobility. That's great, but we also want to create stability here. So if you know that your wrist joints are really loose, we might want to work a little bit more in strength. If you know that your wrist joints are really tight, we might want to work a little bit in mobilizing a little bit here. Just creating a bit of movement, making circles or figure of eights. Just feeling into your wrists as you plug your hands down into the floor. Good. Now we'll flip one hand up. So maybe the right hand flips up and the thumb opens wide, and we're just going to press down into the back of the hand. Your arm can be straight or you can have a little bend in your arm. And we're just going to then try and curl all the fingers into a fist. That's a little bit hard. So it should feel a little bit tough. Just stretching out the back of the wrist, back of the arm. Plant that right hand back into the floor slowly and flip the other palm up, thumb out wide. Getting a nice opening through those fingers, and then maybe taking a little fist with the hand, trying to keep that arm as straight as you possibly can, but there might need to be a little bit of a bend in the elbow. And then releasing it back down into the floor. We'll walk the fingers all the way round, all the way, as far as they can go, all the way round towards the knees. Maybe a little bend is needed in your elbow joints. You might want to walk your hands a bit closer to your knees if it feels too much pressure. Or if you like it, if you're like me, I love this stretch, you can lean back slightly. Now be aware that if you want a little bend in your elbow joints, if you're very hypermobile, so that we're stretching into the muscles as opposed to into the joint. But if we're working fascially, we can keep the elbows straight. So we're getting that stretch across all of the joints and the muscles. So it's not that straightening our elbows is wrong. It's just where do we want to feel the stretch. I'm going to bend my elbows a little bit so I feel a bit lower down into the forearm. Good, take another breath here. And then we slowly walk our hands back. Now, if you're comfortable enough to sit onto your heels, sit down and give your hands a little bit of a shake, or you can kneel, just so you don't put too much pressure on the knees. A little shake of the wrists, maybe up and down. I love the up and down variation of this. It feels so lovely. But then I am weird, but I do like that feeling. And then maybe side to side. And then up and down one more time. Good, so we've allowed the wrists to warm up a little bit, get the fingers moving as well. Just a small warm up for our wrists. We're now going to warm up our feet. So tuck the toes and sit back onto the heels. I know you love this one. This one's great, right? If this again is really hard for your body, you can either come to kneeling and try and tuck, or you can bring your hands down and push back into your feet a little bit. So just be aware of what's going on in your knee joint. We don't always have to be in the most intense variation to get a good stretch. I love this stretch. It's so good. I've started running. I know, I was always like, I'm never gonna run. And I've started running. I've only done like 2 sessions, so it's nothing major yet. But what's really nice is I'm starting to feel my feet quite a lot activating in ways that they are not used to activating. So this is a fantastic stretch to stretch out the underneath of the feet, to wake up into the toes. We don't do it enough. We just don't do it enough. So feeling into this, breathing. We're not here too long. Just waking up our feet. In order to balance and find stability, our feet need to move. They need to be able to get biofeedback from the earth, and so that we can mobilize into the body, the rest of the body. Good, we'll bring the weight forward, untuck the toes. We're going to sit onto the heels, stretching out the ankles. Now again, if this doesn't work for your knees, you can always bring one leg forward and stretch out the front of the ankle. Avoid sickling into that foot. Or if this is finally like, I don't really feel anything here, this is what I do all the time, then you can lean back, maybe grab one knee, maybe then do the other, or both. Although I'm not really feeling the core work today, it's a little bit more core work involved here, you can always bring your hands behind you. Try and keep the toe, big toe in line with the heel, just to get the stretch of the front of the ankle joint, as opposed to sickling, which is again is not wrong, but we just want to feel that front of the ankle getting a really nice pull and opening. You only have to do this variation if you really can't feel much when you're stretching your ankles. And again, this is so great just to warm up into the ankle joints that are going to be doing a lot of movement as we start to balance on our feet. One more breath. And we'll release the weight back forward. Maybe coming back into our tabletop pose and circling our ankles out. You might want to tap the feet a little bit, move the toes. Good. And then now let's have a little bit of mobilization in the spine, so we can move around a little bit, maybe a few cat-cows, or just have a little feel of what the spine is feeling like today. So when we think about mobilizing our spine, don't think that this is going to create instability. Our spine is designed to move, and that is a stable spine. If we were like corseted and we weren't able to move our spine, it would actually cause less stability than us being able to dynamically move. So that kind of rigid feeling of sucking in your belly all the time isn't actually going to create the stability that we think it will. So we need to kind of allow our muscles and our body to be reflexive so that the muscles will activate when they're needed, and then they'll switch off when they're not. It's like you wouldn't go to sleep at night squeezing your core thinking it's going to support my lower back. Everything can relax when we're relaxed. So think about this in your practice as well today. If it's not needed, it doesn't need to be switched on. Good, so we're going to come back to tabletop. Find that position when we feel neutral. And this might be plenty. You might think, actually, this is kind of hard work. My shoulders are a little bit sore already. Maybe you've come to the session today with a little bit of tenderness in your body. Maybe let's reach the right fingertips forward and straight away notice how the body is trying to accommodate that movement by shifting into the left side. So try and keep everything neutral as best you can, and you'll feel that left arm activate nice and strongly. Maybe we want to lift the right arm up. Perhaps we extend the left toes back, and the toes can stay on the floor, or we can elevate the toes up. Notice what happens in your body. What can you feel? What can you experience? And notice if there's a bit of wobbling, heat starting to build up. What does it feel like to be stable here? And what can you do to make it feel more stable? You can always come out of this posture at any moment. Remember, we have to go through a little bit of intensity to grow in terms of strength. Good, so we're going to draw that right elbow towards the left knee, tucking and rounding into the centre. What happens in this left arm? What can we feel that might have changed? Maybe your core switches on quite naturally. Keep breathing. And just feeling the intensity either drop or increase. Notice your body working hard to stay stable and still in this position. Good, we'll drop the right hand back to the ground and extend the left leg behind us, spinning open into a side plank variation. Now you might decide just to stay here with the left foot on the ground, maybe moving the left fingers because we were on that left wrist a little bit, maybe lifting the left leg up, working a little bit harder. And just notice, what does it feel like? Where is the instability? Where is that unstable feeling in your body? And where is the stable feeling? It's okay to have a combination of both as we practice. We're feeling into our bodies and what they are actually experiencing in the moment. Good, take another couple of breaths here. Keep pushing the ground away with that right arm. So plugging that right shoulder in towards the upper back. Gorgeous. One more breath. Inhale. Now we'll bring the left hand down to the floor, left toes, and we're going to step back into our plank pose. Now you have the option here, plank with the knees up or plank with the knees down, meaning that we're actually not having the knees directly underneath the hips. So we have a little bit of space, more space I should say, between the hands and the knees than when we're in tabletop. If you're in the full plank variation, check that you have your sacrum, your scapula and the back of your skull in one nice long line. So there'll be a natural curvature in your back anyway. And we're just holding. We're just feeling into it and going, okay, this is intense. Now, the more we activate our muscles here, we distribute the effort through all the muscles, the easier it will feel. Let's take one final breath. Inhale. And then we'll come onto our forearms, dropping all the way down onto the forearms, a little fly coming on a ride with me. You can bring the palms together, maybe tuck the tailbone under. If it's too much with your knees up, just drop your knees down. Absolutely wonderful position, even with your knees down. and we breathe. Keep pushing the ground away, checking that we're feeling everything active in your body. I'm sure you can feel it. This might be the hardest thing that we do today in our practice. So just think, this is going to be it. It's going to be the hardest bit, potentially. Going nearly there. We'll take another breath. Now drop the knees down if your knees are lifted, and keep the knees down if your knees weren't, and walk your hands forward. Keeping that slightly tucked position, so more of a Superman sort of position in our plank. You might tuck your chin in a little bit more. You should feel your core activate nice and strongly. Keep breathing. If you want to here, you can lift your knees off the floor, keeping your arms a little bit further forward than your wrist, your shoulders, and keep pushing into the ground, tucking the tailbone. My entire body is now shaking. And breathe. One more breath, inhale. Knees come all the way down. And let's just shift back into our child pose position, or a position that feels more stable, where you can let your muscles and your joints relax. Well done. Just take a moment to feel the ground holding you. Wasn't so bad. Just take the effort out here. And we can breathe. So what we're doing is we're building on strength so that the body can move better. It can function better through movement, through mobilization. We don't need to be so strong that everything feels too locked. Because we want to be able to dynamically move our bodies in multiple directions when they need to. So we're just building a little bit of strength to make that a little bit more easier. A little bit more easier, is that good English? Probably not. A little bit easier. Okay, we'll make our way back to our tabletop pose. Now this is our second side, so it might feel a little bit more effortful because your muscles may be a tiny bit tired. So find that position where you feel you're neutral enough. You've still got that line from your sacrum, your scapula to your skull. And we'll then just reach the left fingertips forward. This might be where you want to stay. Maybe we lift the left arm up. That might also be where we stay. Maybe extend the right toes back. Maybe lift the right leg up. And avoid sassying into that left hip. So we're not trying to sink into the left hip. We want to keep everything nice and neutral so that we're holding this position, creating some stability here in a slightly more interesting variation of a tabletop. And just keep breathing. Make sure your breath is still moving. Notice if your muscles, your joints, what gets tired, what aches. We can always come out and come back in again. Don't over push your body. One more breath. Left elbow, right knee come into the center and we squeeze into the middle. Squeeze. Hugging it all in. Simple movements. Held for a long time, can feel like hard work. Just checking with that mental capacity as well. What's happening mentally, emotionally as we're holding these postures? Remember, the awareness is that, think of that as being our stability today, as opposed to, oh gosh, I'm all over the place, I'm really unstable mentally. You're fine. A lot of these poses will provoke our emotions, potentially. Good, left hand comes back down to the ground, right leg extends behind us, and we spin open to that side plank variation. Right arm comes up, push through the left arm, and think about pulling this shoulder blade into the back. Maybe we want to lift the right leg up, maybe. Maybe the right arm goes over the head, perhaps that feels nice or more interesting. And we hold. We keep breathing nice and steadily, and we hold. Noticing what muscles feel perhaps tired today. Maybe we just feel tired and a bit shaky, but we're still incredibly stable. One more breath. Right hand comes down, right toes come down. We come into our plank position. Remember, our knees can be up. finding that length through your spine, or the knees can drop down behind your hips. So checking that you're in a position that works for your body, and breathe. So we're not having to put maximum effort in, but effort that's enough to make us feel stable, sure, but maybe slightly challenging that. So we're just gently challenging our stability, allowing our bodies to grow and evolve. One more breath. Now from here, we're going to shift the elbows back into the floor. A little bit of a dolphin pose. Your palms can come together. Lift the knees off the ground and come into dolphin. Now you might find this is like, oh no way. Your knees can hover a little bit off the ground and you can come out and come back in. It might be that you need a few seconds here, your shoulders give up and you need to come back out. Or you can just push and hold this pose for as long as you possibly can, still feeling stable. As soon as the body tells you I can't hold on anymore, listen to it. It's a great mobilizer for the shoulders as well as a stabilizer. So we're actively pushing into the ground. This is definitely not a resting position. One more breath. Inhale. And if we fancy it, we can make our way all the way into downward facing dog from here, pushing the earth away. And we're going to hold our down dog still. We're not going to move in our down dog. We're just going to hold this position and feel it. Feel where we're tight. Feel where we're active. Noticing parts of the body that might be tired. We've got four limbs pressed into the floor. So we're quite stable in this position into the ground. So where's the instability coming from if you can feel that? One more breath. Knees come back down to the earth and let's take a mini break. Relax. Give the weight off your shoulders. Child pose, which can feel quite grounding, or a variation of this if you need to come off the knees, the hips or the feet, or even the lower back. So we're going to run through a little sequence together, creating some stability in some of these poses. It's going to be fun. You're going to be fine. We're going to hold the poses for a little bit of time, some of them less than a minute. Remember, maximum is 1 minute. We're not going to hold anything longer than a minute. If you need to take a break, take a break. If you feel like you're wobbling everywhere, beautiful, that's fantastic. I'm happy to hear it. Because we'll learn how to find stability through our unstable moments. But remember that we have to then, if we fall out or if we feel like we're actually just not working in the right way, take a moment before you come back in. Take a breath, and then we can find our way back into the poses. First position we're going to take is a down dog, but slightly shorter than our usual down dog, just so that we feel we have a little bit more grounding through the feet, a little bit. Your heels don't have to touch the floor. And obviously the shorter you make this down dog, the easier it's going to be for the balance, and that's completely up to you. If you want to work a little bit harder, the feet can go a bit further away. So we're going to reach the right hand towards the right leg, anywhere we can grab, either shin, maybe it's the ankle, maybe it's the calf, the hamstring, just reaching towards that leg. Just notice how this changes the feeling in the left arm. Breathe. We're going to swap. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches to the left leg. And this is just a way to go, oh, actually my right arm is definitely stronger or weaker. Noticing what's happening in your body to accommodate this movement. Good, come back to the left hand to the floor. Now we're going to reach the right arm to the right leg. Here, we're then going to start to peel up the left heel. Extend maybe the left toes back. Maybe even lift the left leg up. Doesn't have to be high. Noticing what happens to your balance. You can always bring the leg down. You can always bring the hand down. Notice the reflexive muscles. Good. Now we're going to shift the weight forward into a three-legged plank, keeping that left leg lifted. You might need to shuffle the right foot back slightly, that's fine. And if you would really like to, reach the right arm forward, two-limbed plank. Feel your body having to kind of hold yourself here. Let there be a wobble. It's going to be fine. Right hand comes back down to the ground. Left knee draws into the chest and we're going to hold. Push the ground away. Feel everything having to work hard. And then we'll step the left foot in between the hands. Take a moment to come off your hands. So release the effort on your hands. So maybe the fingertips are just gracing the floor. And we've put the effort into our legs. We're going to curl up slowly, all the way up to a high lunge, but let the arms just drop down the sides of the body, giving the arms a little bit of a break. Switch on the legs here, so feeling the feet. We have to find our balance standing anyway, like this. So staying on the back of the ball of the foot, so right ball of the foot is down, rather than kind of dropping into this slightly warrior one position. Stay on the ball of the foot. Now, if you would like to, you might want the arms to come all the way up and take a little extension of the spine, so a little back bend. Notice how your body shifts and changes. And we're going to breathe here. Lovely position, opening up through the front of the body. And just notice how your foot might wobble side to side a little bit, staying stable in this pose, holding this position. We're teaching the brain how to be in this position. So if you've done the lunge position millions of times, then your brain knows where you need to be in this position. Good, one more breath. Lovely. Now we're going to bring the arms back down to the sides of the body and keep the lunge. And we're going to lean forward from the hips. So we're pitching from that left hip. Now, you might just want to be here and hold this position. Your left buttock is going to switch on beautifully. You'll feel your hamstrings, your thigh, the pressure going down through that foot. You're going to use your back foot as a bit of a balancer here, and you can stay here. Or maybe reach the arms out wide, or reach the arms over the head, but nothing has changed in the rest of your body. Now remember, if you're here and you're like, Kate, don't make me hold this for a minute, you can always bring the arms back down. We're holding this, feeling our body, strengthening, really tightly contracting in order to hold this position. Just keep the breath moving. What does the mind do? Where's the mind gone? Is it counting down the seconds? I'm in control of the clock. Wahaha. 5 more seconds. I've got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stay here, but the hands come to the heart center. And we're going to twist without hooking the right elbow to the left thigh. Just twist to the left. Use your core here. We're leaning forward. We've got that lovely lean as if we're trying to hook the elbow to the outside of the left leg, but we're not going to do it. We're just going to hold this and we're going to breathe. And we're going to feel our body going, really? Really, Kate? You really want us to stay here for a whole minute? Yes. We're going to stay here for a whole minute. Less than a minute now because, well, we've already been here for about 40 seconds. Keep breathing. If you need to come out of the posture. It's not a race or a competition, not even with yourself. Even if you're practicing this again and again and again. Good, we're going to come slowly back to the center and straighten both legs. You can hop the back foot a little bit closer. And we'll just fold over the front leg. Maybe the hands come to the thigh. You might want them to come down to the shin. You might want a little bit of movement in that hip. Just noticing that we've done quite a lot of effort into the leg of the left. Good. Now we'll curl all the way back up and I want you to come onto the balls of your feet. Your arms can stay down, they can come to the waist. Now imagine you're squeezing the thighs towards each other. So we're creating that kind of stable sort of feeling. And if you want a little bit more fun, bend your knees. Maybe lift your arms up. See what happens. It's like we're wearing really, really high shoes, massive platforms or stilettos. I don't really like heeled shoes. It's much harder to balance, right? Keep the breath. Maybe go a little bit deeper, make your muscles work a bit more. Maybe a little bit more. Final breath. And then release the heels, straighten the legs. Hands are going to come to the hips. Favourite one coming, not. We're going to come into a warrior three. Now this warrior three can be a lean into the left foot and a gentle pick up of the right leg. That is a warrior three. It's plenty. Now if you have got the ability to bend that left knee a little bit, to wake up the muscles around the knee, they're great muscles for stabilising our knee. You'll feel your glute medius, this top bit, really been kicking on, so it's really sore now. So just go easy. If you want to tilt a little bit more, coming into full warrior three, you can, maybe reaching the arms back, but activate that right leg. So don't think about keeping the right leg lazy, keeping it strong. We're nearly there, keep breathing. Chest lifts a little higher. Maybe bend a little bit more into that left knee. Lift the right leg a little bit higher. Final 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right foot steps back and we open to a warrior two. This one's all right, isn't it? We're going to hold it for about a minute. So your arms don't have to be out. They can be anywhere they need to be. Like my left leg is actually shaking like mad right now. So just holding that leg open, using the glute to externally rotate out. If you need a bit more space for your hips, just heel toe your right foot over towards the right side so that we don't have to be heel to instep if that doesn't work for your hips. And we can sink into the depth that we want to work. So we're pushing the back edge of the right foot into the ground. We're rooting down through the whole of the left foot. Shoulders generally stack over the hips, I guess. That feels quite comfortable, but it doesn't have to be a perfect alignment. I want you to feel that there is this held position and the challenge is kicked in. The challenge is maybe even holding your arms out here. Keep the breath moving. Hopefully your left leg is shaking like mine. That note to self, don't do glute exercises just before you do leg stuff. Keep breathing. Final breath. Lovely, release the arms, straighten the legs, and we'll step to the top of our mats. Beautiful. Last bit of effort on that left leg, promise. Left foot's going to root down into the floor. And we're going to peel up the right leg. Now you can just leave it dangling in front, or you can take it into a tree, either ankle, calf, or up above the knee into the inner thigh. If you have the capacity to come up here, it's quite nice because you push the foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot. So it creates a stability. So your right hip, we don't want to sassy it out to the right side like we're kind of carrying something on our hip. We want to think about using that glute med that's, yes, tired, but working the leg so we're here. Hands can go wherever you want them to because we're going to play with the vestibular system, so that inner ear that helps us with our balance. And the way that we're going to do that is by lifting the head up and down. Up and down. And again, lift the head up and down. Ooh, almost lost my balance. Now we're going to go to the side. So left to right. Left to right. Left to right. Oh, so wobbly for me. Let's go up to the left diagonal, top, bottom diagonal. Up to the left, down to the right. One more, up to the left, down to the right. Good, let's go to the other diagonal right corner, top, and go down to the left bottom. Up to the top, down to the bottom, up to the top, oh, down to the bottom, back to the centre. Big circle with the head, so all the way around. You can take your time here. This is so wobbly for me, and my right leg's meant to be my strong leg. And let's circle all the way around the other way. Notice how your body is really having to adjust just from moving your head. Good, release the right leg, shake out your legs. My calf muscle is being like, what are you doing, Kate? All this running and now you're doing this balancing. Okay, we're gonna inhale, lift the arms up, big stretch. Exhale, fold forward. And you might just want to wiggle out through your hips, your legs, your feet. Well done, feet, they've done amazing. Hands come down, we'll step back either through our plank pose or you can drop your knees down. And we'll just make our way onto our belly, however it works for your body. Now we'll bring the arms behind us. Maybe we interlace the fingers. If we can't do this, don't worry. Please don't feel you have to. You can just reach your arms back. If you can interlace your fingers, it can be quite nice and squeeze the shoulder blades. Maybe make Kali Mudra by pointing the index finger and the thumb out. Lift the chest away from the ground, maybe lift the arms away from the back. And tuck the chin in a little bit, imagining you've got a grapefruit underneath your chin. You might want to lift one leg, hold for a bit, then lift the other. Or you might want to lift both legs up and squeeze. Keep breathing. Check that your breath is still here. We want to keep breathing. Holding. We're holding here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Oh, onto the belly. Now you can stay here on the belly if this feels more comfortable, or you can make your way up and into child pose if that's where you prefer to be to relax the next few moments. We've got to do it all again on the second side. Yippee! You'll be fine. Remember that you can always take breaks, and recognizing as we go from one side to the other that maybe one side feels more stable than the other. It's just an awareness, doesn't need to be changed at all, but you might notice, oh, actually this side's easier, or this side's a lot harder. Or maybe it's just becoming aware of different areas of your body that actually are more stable on one side than they are on the other. And just focusing on what that feels like for your body, for your mind, for your emotions. Make our way back into downward facing dog and making it just a tiny bit shorter. If you want to be really challenged, you can, in this position, you want to add the extra challenge, you can walk your feet as far back as they need to go. But I'm going to bring mine a little bit closer to make it a tiny bit easier. Now we'll reach the left hand towards the left leg, anywhere we can reach. And just feel how this changes that down dog. Bring the left hand back down to the floor. Right hand's going to reach the right leg. Notice how that feels. Keep breathing. And bring the hand back down to the earth. Left hand reaches to the left leg. We're going to peel off the right heel. Maybe extend the right leg back. Maybe lift the right leg up to the sky. Ooh, super wobbly. Keep breathing. Notice how you feel stable from this side to the other. What's that ankle doing? Should be wobbling a lot, creating a little bit of instability to find stability. The left hand's going to come down. We'll shift forward into that plank, keeping the right leg extended. Maybe lift the left arm up. Two-limbed plank pose. Good, drop the left hand back down to the floor, draw the right knee to the chest, rounding a little bit, holding in, squeezing. You're gonna be fine, because we're gonna place the right foot in between the hands. And just take the pressure off the hands for a moment. Give the weight back to the feet. Maybe you're like, I'd rather have the pressure in my hands right now. And we'll curl up slowly, nice and gently, all the way up to our lunge, high lunge position. So let the arms relax on the sides of your body. Muscles that will be activating, glute muscles will be switching on, which is really good to stabilize us, keeping us nice and strong. You'll feel the foot maybe just starting to acclimatize now to the position we're in, so there'll be a little bit of a wobble. Our proprioceptors are working all of the time in our feet, which is why it's really important to feel the ground. If we can't feel what's underneath our feet, how can our feet know where to position in order for it to send signals up to the rest of the body for us to balance? Maybe you want to reach the arms up over the head and take a little extension of the spine, a little back bend. Just Keep breathing here, nice and steady. It's like the hard work is just about to begin. Let's go for it. We're going to be fine. Take another breath. Good, bring the arms back down to the sides of the body. And we're going to lean forward. Just a little lean. Now, your arms can stay here, down by the sides of your hips. They don't have to go anywhere else. Or they can come out wide, or you know what's coming, over the head. Oh gosh, my right glute is definitely speaking to me in this position. It's like, no, Kate, you want to be somewhere else. So just listen to that mental chatter. Listen to the physical expression actually happening in your body right now. So feeling what's going on. Noticing if this is actually positive kind of strength building, or if you need to back off for a moment before you come back in. We've got another 10 seconds. Good. Slowly, we'll bring the hands to the heart center. We're staying here in this lunge forward, and we're twisting to the right side. We're about to almost place the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, but we're not going to do it. We're using that core strength to twist, encouraging our body to actually do the effort as opposed to the pin and pull sort of twisting that we sometimes do in our yoga practice. So just bringing a little bit of that strength first, stability in the muscles before we rely on our joints. Keep breathing. I'm checking the clock. We're nearly there. We're so nearly there. This feels like torture right now for me. Don't go running before you teach yoga, especially considering I am not a runner. Good, final few breaths. All good, 10 seconds. Final 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to the center, straighten the legs. Oh, blimey. And we can fold forward over the leg. Maybe a little bit lower, maybe wiggling the hips. And just stretch out. And just feeling what's happening in your body. For me, definitely that glute medius on my right leg. What was it like for you? What could you feel? Maybe it was somewhere completely different. You're like, actually, it just hurt my feet or my big toe or anywhere. Even your little fingernail might have ached. Good, we're going to come all the way up to standing and raise up onto the balls of the feet. Now, if you need more space, let your feet go a bit wider. They don't have to train track so that they can be parallel. They can be a little bit wider than that. Find the balance first. Hands can go where they're comfortable. Maybe you bend the knees. They can be micro bends or deep bends. Maybe the arms come up over the head. The placement of your head is going to be really important, as we've already figured out when we did our vestibular play, for balancing the body. Maybe go a little bit deeper into this. Little bit. Good, couple more breaths. Lovely, straighten the legs, release. Whew. Last bit of effort, really, big effort. Hands going to come to the waist or the hips. We're going to come into that warrior 3. So we lean forward and just elevate the left leg. Try and keep a little bend in your right knee to make the muscles of the right knee switch on. If you fancy a bit more, we can come a little bit deeper into our warrior 3. Your arms can come down the side of your back, your body, and we're trying to keep the hips square, so avoid lifting the hip open. That already threw me off my balance. But keeping the hips nice and square and using the backline muscles to switch on to support you. You can lift your chest a little bit higher if you'd like to. You can maybe deepen that bend in the right knee a little bit more. Remember that if this is like, oh, I can't hold this for so long, come out and you can come back in when you feel ready. So when we're building on strength and stability in our body, we can't necessarily always do it in one go. We might need to give ourselves a bit of time. It's meant to be hard work, right? It's meant to feel hard. It's hard for me too, I promise you that. Good, let's take one more full breath. Inhale. Exhale. Step the left foot back. We come into our warrior 2. Warrior Two feels like joy right now. It's like, oh my gosh, Warrior Two, thank you. I love you right now. Okay, now we're pushing the back edge of the left foot down into the floor, so again, a little bit of movement into the foot. And check that we feel we're actually switching on muscles here. We want to feel the effort in our body as best we can. We're only holding this for a minute. It's not really that long amount of time, but it is. It also is. So give yourself credit that actually you're holding this for a long period of time that you wouldn't usually hold an active posture. But think also, we'd hold passive postures for hours at a time. We can do this. We can do this for a minute. We've got this. We're building on that strength and stability in our body gradually over time. So we wouldn't want to be here for 10 hours. That'll probably turn into more of a mental practice. The body would definitely want to give up after about maybe a few minutes. Good, let's straighten the front leg and we'll step back to the top of our mats. Balancing on the other side, so coming into the tree on the other side, bringing the right foot down. And we're going to pick up the left foot into either the ankle, calf, or the inner thigh. Just avoid that knee area. And if you are up nice and high, you can press into that inner thigh can press into the foot. You can do that lower down, but it's a little less accessible. We don't have to be up here though. Hands go wherever you want them to go, and try to avoid that sassy into the hip. So think, I want my glute to lift up and out as opposed to sinking to the side. Ready for our little vestibular system to have a little bit of a play? Yes, Kate. So up and down. This is my weaker leg, so I'm on my left leg now. And lower, because I'm mirroring you. Lift the head up and down. One more time. Up and down. We're going to go side to side, so turn the head right to left. Ooh, right to left. You can move your head slowly. One more time. To the right and left. Good, going up to the left top corner and down to the bottom right corner. And again, up and down. Almost lost it. One more, up and down. Let's go to the top other corner, top right, bottom left. Up and down. One more, up and down. Back to the center. Big circles with the head. Doesn't matter which way you go, we'll go all the way round. I think my leg's about to give up. And we're going to go all the way around the other way. Back to the center. Release, shake out the legs. Yes, well done. It's hard, it should be hard, because we're learning something new, we're developing something in our bodies that's not used to doing. Great. So inhale, lift the arms up, big stretch. Exhale, folding forward. And you can dangle here for a few moments. Release the legs. Take the effort out. You can bend your knees if you need your spine to be more elongated, or maybe let the head drop a bit left to right. Yes, yes, no, no. Plant the hands into the floor, step the feet back, and we're going to make our way onto our bellies. I don't really mind how. It's okay if you just want to like belly flop into the floor. Hands come behind you, interlace the fingers if you can. It's not essential that you do, but it might feel quite nice. You can always take Kali Mudra. Lift the chest away from the ground. Imagine there's a grapefruit underneath your chin. So really imagine that you're trying to do this back bend from your back, not from your neck. Maybe lift one leg, maybe lift the other, squeeze the legs towards each other. We're going to hold. Keep breathing. It's our final push. Final bit of effort here. You can hate me later. Or hate me now and you can love me later. We're going to hold this another 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Well done. Oh. And if you want to stay here, you can, or make your way into child pose. Finding a position that feels grounding for your body. So we're going to come and grab our props. So go grab the props you need, the towel and the bolster. We're going to use the bolster first. So make sure that your towel, I've just unrolled my blanket, is nicely rolled up if it isn't already. Blanket or towel, doesn't really matter what we're using. And just pop that off to the side. Now you can do this with a wall if you prefer, but just for ease sake, it's quite nice to just have a little elevation of the legs. So bolster or pillow can be lengthways across your mat. Come onto your back and just bring your legs on top. Easy. Now I like to cross one ankle over just so that my legs don't roll off because they love to externally rotate. If that's not you and you're fine with your legs like this, they don't fall off your support, fine. But I'm going to cross my right over my left, lie down, and relax. Take the effort off the feet. If the first minute you would like to lift the arms up and take the effort out of the hands, so you're letting the lymphatic system move and shift, you can do so too. Take all the pressure off your feet, your hands. Spend so much time finding balance and stability. We can now feel the stability by melting into the ground, into the earth. Maybe allowing the hands, if they're still up, just to float back down where they feel comfortable. Maybe finding your breathing, stable rhythm of your breath that is just moving always. Final few moments in this position. You possibly never want to move again. So taking the feet off slowly. They might feel quite heavy. You've done a lot of work. And then coming back up to seated, just moving your bolster off to one side for a moment. We don't need it. And we're going to bring in our rolled up towel or blanket right into the center of the mat. This is like, honestly, one of my favorite releasing supportive poses for the spine. Sitting onto one end of the towel or blanket, making sure that you have enough space for your entire spine, including the back of your skull, to be supported as you lie down. And if you find that actually your chin comes all the way up to the sky and it doesn't feel very nice, I like to roll the end of the towel in. Bring it underneath the suboccipital muscles, so that kind of nape of the neck, the curvature of your neck, and just let the head drop in, and this feels really nice. You can lengthen your legs away and let your arms go out wide. And now you feel your spine completely supported, all the way from your tailbone to the back of your skull, if you have the towel wrapped up into the suboccipitals, all the way to the base of the skull. And the rest of your muscles can just relax around this support. See if you can melt in for the next few minutes. You're more than welcome to stay here for as long as you need. But I will give you about 3 minutes here and I'll let you know when it's time to come out if you're ready. Very gently, you can slide the feet in and roll off to one side, off your towel or blanket. Maybe an arm or a hand can be a pillow for the head. And just round the spine a moment into a little fetal position. When we feel ready, we can push down through the ground to lift the body up, finding a comfortable seated position to close off our practice together. Inhale to lift the arms up to the sky, take a big stretch, the palms will come together. Exhale, allow them to float down to the heart center. Gently bowing your head forward. Thanking yourself for your practice today, for allowing instability to be the journey towards stability. Namaste. Excellent work, everybody. Well done.